Planet Vero Studio is powered by the Nolan Group of eXp Realty. MyNextHomeFinder.com.
Welcome to Treasure Coast Community Health. We have 8 locations to serve you better. Our staff is dedicated to help you and your family. Here's your host, Vicki Soule.
Good afternoon and welcome to Community Conversations. For those of you that have been to our show before, you know that the lineup is varied and interesting every week. We have someone different. Sometimes they're connected to healthcare directly, sometimes indirectly, sometimes not at all, just because they're a part of our community. And we like to have conversations to keep you in the know. We know that readership is not what it used to be. And so we all depend more on what we hear and see to keep us abreast of what's going on in our community. So this week, I'm honored to have a newcomer, relative newcomer to town. Trevor Loomis is from Habitat for Humanity, and he tells me he's been here a whole 6 months. So welcome, and we're going to have a great time talking about what Habitat is doing, what they've got in store for us, and how people can interact. Because as you and I talked about, there's a real connection between healthcare and affordable housing. And we are all aware that there's been some real challenges occurring, and it doesn't seem to have an end in sight. So give us some good news. Tell us what Habitat has been doing recently.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome.
I'm very happy to come and talk about affordable housing and the impact that it has. I'll talk to anybody that'll listen. So I'm very happy to be here to talk about that. So, housing, affordable housing, and access to housing is one of the social determinants. So it's been shown that poor quality housing, substandard housing, and the lack of access to housing that is affordable can often lead to very severe poor health outcomes in the people that are affected. And so, and likewise. What's that? Likewise, access to affordable housing and high quality, decent, safe, affordable housing has been scientifically shown to improve health outcomes in the people that have that. And
we talk about disparities in this community a lot. And that is certainly something that connects those dots. Why is there a difference in the health outcome of someone who lives in good housing? People often want to say beachside, but there's good housing throughout the community.
Absolutely.
The issue is, how do people get to spend their money or have to spend their money? Okay.
Well, so there's a threshold that we use as talking about what is affordable, right? Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter, what your income is. To a certain extent, let's talk about normal people, right? So if you're bringing in 7 figures, I don't care how much you spend on your housing. But
that's right.
Normal people, if you spend more than 30% of your monthly income on your housing expenses, so not just a mortgage or not just rent, but also utilities, you're spending more than 30% on those things, you are what we would consider cost burdened. And so even people who are, say, living beachside or in, the high rent district on the mainland, whatever it is, in a lot of cases, you see people that are spending upwards of 50% of their income on their housing costs. And so, one of the things that we know is that people who spend more than 50% of their income on housing spend 57% less on health care and preventative health measures. So that's not even getting into nutrition and other things that are other social determinants of health. Mm-hmm. And so it shows that being cost burden for housing
mm-hmm.
is it has incredible links to those poor health outcomes.
Yeah, the consequences to those families is huge.
Absolutely.
And so we did have a conversation before we came on air about how nonprofits like Habitat and Treasure Coast mm-hmm. can collaborate so that we can add more bang to their dollars. Mm-hmm. As an example, we talked about a lot of seniors come here and they expect to live the golden life until something unfortunately might happen to them or their spouse. Their income can be cut in half. They've lived in this house. They can't imagine themselves living anywhere else. It is whatever support system they have in the neighborhood. But how can they pay $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a year just for their insurances?
Sure.
And then that is
not to mention the fact that they can't afford the repairs on a house. So you have things that happen with, the lack of home maintenance. You can end up with mold. You can end up with mildew, water damage. Those things are directly linked to instances of asthma, right? Poor respiratory, issues.
Yeah.
The mold toxins can cause weight gain, any number of different, cardiac issues, things like that. And so, one of the things we do, we have a robust home repair program for homeowners. And the majority of those are the more experienced of us. We are able to go in there and provide low-cost home repair to those families with sometimes a combination of, volunteers that'll just come in and fix the house. Sometimes we'll use subcontractors. There's interest-free loans involved, things like that we can do to keep the cost to the homeowner as low as possible, to help them stay in their home as long as possible.
So again, I want to reiterate, if someone's just tuned us in and we're talking about Habitat for Humanity helping people, it's not just poor people. Okay.
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's not just poor people. Listen, it is those, we'd like to say, the fancy way of saying is low to moderate income.
Okay.
Right. And so that could be, anybody, depending on family size, people earning into the $60,000 a year range, right? That's
or seniors who are just dependent on their Social Security and perhaps a very small pension.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And sometimes those folks who are just on Social Security, I'm not sure how they do it. Right? That is not a lot of money. And when you bring in the cost of maintaining a home on top of that, I'm not sure if you've been to Publix recently, but I'm not sure how they can afford food and housing costs and transportation. And then how do you afford your health care? Right. So the being cost burden just leads to so many different issues.
So if someone was interested in finding out if they qualify, how would they go about that?
Well, the easiest thing to do would be go to our website, irchabitat.org, or you can come in to the office, 4568 US Highway 1. If you know where the Habitat Restore is, the office is right behind it.
Okay.
And so you can come in there and inquire about home repair.
Is there a phone number? You and I talked earlier about the disabilities of folks who may be transportation challenged. Okay. And again, looking at an older population, we're not all whizzes on the computer. So I like to have the old standby just for those that really need it. Okay. Because I'm sure you don't have 12 people answering your phone every day. But so if you can use the internet or stop by, that's even better. But if not,
a phone call is absolutely, appropriate. We have somebody who's on the phone, and they can get you in touch with our staff for that program.
That'd be great.
Or the home ownership program as well.
And we'll talk more about that.
Interested in that can do the same thing. So the phone number is 772-562-9860, and that's the direct number. And then you can inquire about which of our programs is most appropriate for you. And
if you didn't get a chance to write it down, we'll give it to you one more time before we leave this station. And then you can always ask your grandchildren for assistance, because they'll just look it up on Google and help you out there, and feel great being able to help you out as a relative. So tell us a little bit more. You mentioned that you just had a fundraiser. So tell us about how philanthropy plays into Habitat for Humanity, because of course we all know the origins. Well, most of us remember the origins. Jimmy Carter and individuals, volunteers coming together, some with money, some with time and energy.
Yeah, so back in the day, 30, 40 years ago, when Habitat was started, and it was not founded by Jimmy Carter, believe it or not. He is just the most famous volunteer.
Okay.
But when it was founded in Georgia, the idea was that this is a volunteer organization that, for years and years, building homes, almost exclusively volunteer-led. and then it was started to modernize. There's an affiliate network. We are an affiliate here of Habitat International. There are 1,100 or so U.S. and Canada affiliates.
Sounds like community health centers.
Yeah.
1,300 across.
And another, another 70 nations around the world that Habitat International operates in. We are a top 20 to 30 affiliate in the nation here in Indian River County. So, everybody knows Habitat for home construction, for affordable houses that are built. We're not just volunteers anymore, although we use a lot of volunteers. So a couple ways that we are able to keep those new homes affordable for folks is we use volunteer labor on a lot of tasks. And then we use...
The sweat equity ownership has not changed, though.
That has not changed.
Okay.
That will not change.
Yeah, I thought so.
It's a very important part of it, that the people who are receiving a home or buying a home with us have that sort of skin in the game, and have buy-in, because it makes them more successful as a homeowner in the long run. So we use volunteer labor that helps keep costs down. We use that in the home repair program as well in certain cases. And then we use philanthropic dollars to keep our costs down, so that what we're able to do is offer a interest-free mortgage to the home buyer, and the home is sold at no profit. So it is essentially sold for just the cost of land and materials, and subcontractors that we have to use. Our staff is not factored into that mortgage cost. Any of the other, indirect costs are not factored in. So homeowners are able to get their house through our program for significantly less than it's actually worth. Right? So they're walking away with a payment on a new home right now from us is $700 a month on average.
Wow.
Which is probably half of what you can find a rent for a 3-bedroom apartment for right now.
Oh, more than that.
So it is, it's the best deal going, and it's one of the ways that we are able to preserve affordability for the long run and to help families who have not had that opportunity to build generational wealth.
But as we all know, the amount of available and affordable land is diminishing at a rapid pace. So whereas in the past we might have seen we did see whole subdivisions come through Habitat for Humanity initiative. At this point, it's an individual house here or there. How many do you expect might be built during this current year?
So this current year just depends on how many we finish. We're right around 15 or 16 new homes per year.
Okay.
We'll do a couple of rehabs as we are able to. Our goal ultimately over the next several years is to figure out how we can build double what we're doing. There, will we get there? Fingers crossed, right? I hope so, but it's just forcing us to be more creative and to look at more innovative solutions. So instead of saying we build houses, we provide housing solutions to people. And so maybe it means that we're providing that we're building duplexes, or we're building multifamily ownership options.
Keeping alive those existing homes for the future.
Absolutely. And one of the major issues in this area right now is the lack of affordable rentals.
That's the truth that we can
quality,
all identify.
not just rentals, but quality decent,
rentals.
Safe, affordable rental housing is hard to come by around.
It is, and
so,
the reality is that inflation has hit all aspects, including I will give a little bit of sympathy, empathy for those landlords who own the homes. It's real easy to berate them, and I am not a landlord so this is not about me. But, there's always two sides to every coin. I think we need to take a short station break, and then we'll be back, and we'll have some more great conversation about what's going on and what we can see in the future.
Wild, untamed, hilarious. Riverside Theater's Comedy Zone. Experience the Treasure Coast's best stage for live stand-up comedy this Friday and Saturday night at 7 and 9 p.m. You'll laugh till it hurts. Start your night at Live in the Loop with live entertainment, food and drinks, and after, be entertained with nationally ranked comedians, including an opening act and headliner with cabaret-style seating and food and drink table service. Get tickets at riversidetheater.com.
At Sunshine Furniture, our 35,000 square foot showroom is filled with the largest selection of in-stock coastal furniture on the Treasure Coast. Dining and bedroom sets, occasional tables, sofas, sleeper sofas, loveseats, and chairs, including lots of slipcover styles from Universal, Four Seasons, and Capri. We have a gallery of Tommy Bahama and Lexington with styles designed for a relaxed approach to the finer things in life. Right now, we're having a summer sale with lots of great markdowns, including all pictures, lamps, and accessories half price. Sunshine Furniture, 1295 US 1 in Vero Beach next to Planet Fitness. Family owned and operated since 1991. Don't forget to visit our outlet and closeout store directly across the street and visit our website at sunshinefurniturecasual.com.
Sunshine Furniture, the best in every way. How is sunshine day? Sunshine Furniture, the best in every way. How is sunshine day? Sunshine.
The new year is underway, and it's time to schedule your annual physical. This quick, comprehensive visit can uncover diabetes, high blood pressure, and even cancer, ultimately saving your life. Treasure Coast Community Health waives Medicare deductibles and offers a sliding fee scale discount, so everyone can afford to take care of their health. We can't fix what we don't know. Let's work together to make a healthier community. Call us today at 772-257-TCCH. We're a nonprofit. And welcome back to Community Conversations. If you're just joining us, my name is Vicki Soule. I'm the CEO of Treasure Coast Community Health. Treasure Coast Community Health, or TCCH as we affectionately call it, has 8 different clinical locations around Indian River County. That's what's known as our service area. That doesn't mean that we don't see and welcome people from either Brevard or St. Lucie or our snowbirds that come down to see us as we enjoy paradise here, or almost paradise. As we've been talking today with Trevor Loomis. Sorry, I told you I was bad at names. I just met Trevor today. We have been talking about affordable housing and different housing solutions. And you said something interesting during the break about the fear that if we build more affordable housing, it will bring everyone down. And your philosophy, as you expressed it, is more like the glass half full instead of half empty. Could you explain it?
Yeah, so there's a fear, the not in my backyard view, or the NIMBYs, as we like to call them, where they say, if you build affordable housing around where I live, it's going to drive down our property value. Mm-hmm. And while intellectually maybe that makes sense to some people, if you build a less expensive house near me, it'll drive my property values down. But what actually happens is when you build enough affordable housing, we're never going to build too much of it. Right? That's just not a reality, right?
Right?
This county is like 1,500 units short right now.
Wow.
So I can't build that. I don't know who's going to build them, right? So the shortage will continue. But what happens is when you don't have affordable housing and you don't have decent places that people can afford to live, a place like this that's built on the service industry begins to be unable to find employees. And so if they're unable to find employees, they have to pay the employees more to attract them, which means the costs go up. And it starts to basically artificially inflate the local economy, all because there's not enough access to affordable housing. And so one of the ways that you fight inflation is by actually building more housing, right? It is both a driver and a solution to inflation.
And we've certainly seen that over the last year in the healthcare industry. We all knew that the $15 an hour minimum was coming, but the hospital, Treasure Coast, VNA, a lot of local healthcare providers, as you say, we want to not only attract but retain those folks that we've got. And if they don't have an affordable place to live, they look elsewhere.
Absolutely.
And so that not only affects that population, but the folks that are teaching in school, the firefighters, the policemen, all those folks that are the support systems of our community also struggle then?
There's a misconception that affordable housing is for people on welfare or single parents or, whatever. Affordable housing, another way to talk about it is workforce housing, right? Yeah. So it's your teachers, your hospital workers, your restaurant staff, public service, government workers, things like that. People who work for you.
People who work for Publix.
Absolutely. Your grocery stores. And so what ends up happening is when there's a shortage of housing like we have here, the employers have to pay that much more to attract people. Because if I am going to hire somebody, but they're coming from Port St. Lucie, how much do I have to pay them to get them to come here? And so those costs get passed on to the consumer, and then the cost of everything goes up. And so simply by building more housing and setting an environment where building more housing is a possibility and it is encouraged and it is fast-tracked, by doing that, that's how you ultimately fight inflation on a local level and start to bring that back down.
And the reality is that the people that are making decisions about our long-term housing abilities are elected officials who are afraid of being, well, I shouldn't say afraid, but cognizant that they represent the people's opinions that live around us. And so it is a conversation worth having so that we do set the stage better as we move forward. As you mentioned before the station break, it used to be that Habitat was only about building. Then you started making sure that houses were kept in good condition. And in the future, as you said, maybe multifamily dwellings, whether they're duplexes, triplexes, apartment buildings, something that, in my wildest dreams, I never thought I'd be saying in the same sentence with Habitat for Humanity. A lot of that has to be not only community, but philanthropy driven as well, I presume.
Well, we need that, right? So we rely on philanthropy to make it happen. But the main thing is that what we are as an organization locally is it's our job to meet the needs of the community. And so even if we don't start building multifamily rental apartments, right?
Not to start a rumor.
One of the things we can do is advocate on a local level with the government to help create policies that can make that happen, that make it attractive for the people that know what they're doing. I don't know how to do that. Yeah. I can build houses, right? I don't know how to build apartment complexes, but we can advocate for policies that make it to where the people that are good at that want to come in here and make that happen.
That's right.
Right. And so we spend a lot of time, on a local and a state level, as well as sometimes federal. I've done some federal advocacy as well around affordable housing policies, doing what we can to create an environment where increasing the supply of housing is what happens.
And just like healthcare, it would be real easy to say, we're in the business of helping diabetics, or we're in the business of helping children. But it's kind of a continuum. We can target veterans with PTSD, and that's a great thing to do. But everybody should be a winner in this initiative. So I really appreciate your coming in and talking with us about it. Some subjects are still a little taboo. They tend to evolve into more political dialogue. But as you said to me coming in here, what's good for one is good for all of us.
That's right.
And as a community, that has been the philosophy. So I do want to end with you giving out your phone number one more time in case someone can't look up your website, which is?
So the website is irchabitat.org.
Okay.
And then the phone number is 772-562-9860.
And so I encourage all of you that might be listening today to think about what you've heard today and recognize that we can all give a little something to better our community, whether it's time, talent, or money. I'm sure you're still accepting volunteers, retired tradespeople that would help, particularly on the maintenance section.
Come to Habitat. There's a spot for you.
All righty. Thanks you so much. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for sticking with us to the end. Next week, we will have something a little lighter to talk about, but equally impressive. So take care and have a nice evening. Goodbye now.